just need. So I think we need one more chair. All right, so we have Thibault Verbiest, sir. Welcome. He's our moderator. He's the president of the IR Foundation and partner of Meta Law. We have Vadim Kramov. Vadim, there you are. Founder and CIO, Edge Capital Management. Hubertus Tonhauser, chairman of the board, the Tezos Foundation. Of course, the wonderful Anna Titova, CEO of Coins Telegram. Anna, good to see you. We have Sergey Kitarov, founder of Listing.help and Jetstock Capital. So since we, and you know what, I think we got an extra microphone if you want it.
Hello, hello.
Yeah, you can pass it down the chair.
Okay, one more. Good.
Okay, enjoy your panel.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And hi, everyone. Very pleased to be here with you. And first of all, I would like to thank Oleg, one of the previous speakers, for the clarity he brought to the audience concerning DeFi. So it's, I guess, will make our job much easier. So it's going to be a very open discussion here about DeFi and NFTs, bridging both, and how DeFi can actually promote NFTs and the other way around. So I will just, maybe we can start with a round of self-introduction, say a few words, each of you, and very briefly, so not starting with the dinosaurs and your personal stories of your own families, but just a few words about who you are and what's your involvement or maybe passion about DeFi and NFTs, starting with you, my neighbor. Yeah? Okay.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. My name is Vadim Kramov. I run Edge Capital Management. It's a digital asset manager in the US. My background has been always in traditional finance and policy making side. I was on the board of the International Monetary Fund in the past. Then I was with Bank of America Merrill Lynch running the fixed income and FX desks. Then I worked for a macro hedge fund for a number of years, investing across the world in like 30 different countries. Then we switched to crypto, and we launched a fund last year. Our focus is primarily DeFi. What we're interested in investing in new projects in the DeFi space on the institutional grade level, such that we have proper custody for institutional clients, proper registrations, audits, and everything else, which wasn't really available a year ago. Let me stop here and pass it to my colleague.
Yeah, Sergey.
Hi, my name is Sergey Khitrov, and I'm founder of Listing.help. We are the largest in the market, which help with listing projects on crypto exchanges. We listed more than 700 projects in the top exchanges, medium exchanges. Also founder of Blockchain Live Forum, and also Jets Capital Fund. We focus on investing in project in a private stage, in the early stage. We buy a lot of token in the second market, and also focus on the yield farming.
Thank you, sir. Anna, yes.
Hello, everybody. My name is Anna Tutova. I'm CEO of Coins Telegram, and we have a group of companies. We have crypto fund, news media, and PR consulting agency. And we have different blockchain, crypto, DeFi projects with promotion on the market, with publications in top financial, business, crypto media like Forbes, Entrepreneur, CoinDesk, and so on. We work with influencers, do different social media campaigns. So basically help startups to grow and already established companies as well to spread the word out in this industry.
Yeah, hello everybody. My name is Hubertus. I run a family office-backed venture capital firm, both in crypto and traditional, so-called traditional spaces, fintech, SaaS models, marketplaces, which helps me to zoom out every now and then from the craze and the hype that we see in this space. One of our investments, amongst many others in the crypto space, is in a project called Tezos, and I'm also on the board of the Tezos Foundation. And the Tezos Foundation itself is a venture firm as well, so we invest in numerous project dev teams in the space.
Thank you, Umberto. Just a few words about myself. I am a lawyer by profession involved in the crypto space and fintech space for now about 7 years. I'm also an entrepreneur. I co-founded a few blockchain startups, and I'm also a writer and science fiction novelist. I'm mentioning it because one of my first ventures in the blockchain space was crypto books, and I tried to launch with some friends of mine the first platform to buy books with a stable coin, but it was just too early, so it failed. But it was a very enriching experience, and I guess maybe now it's an idea that could be relaunched in a more favorable environment, and that's linked to the discussion we are having today. So the first question, very general, yeah, yeah.
CEO and co-founder of DeFi. Please join us on stage.
Welcome. We like surprises. Last but not least. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we welcome. Good. So, who are you? Yeah, please introduce yourself. Yes.
Yeah.
Again.
Again. Hello, everyone. My name is Firdaus Sheikh. I'm co-founder and CEO at Drive. Drive is a decentralized ride-hailing platform. We aim to empower both the driver and rider community. I hope few of you have heard my speech this morning. So I'm not going to say a lot about who we are and what we do. But yeah, the idea is to disrupt what we call is already disrupted. Thank you.
Yeah, because you know the audience is changeful, so you're not guaranteed that the same person are in front of you. Okay, so let's start the debate. Hopefully, it's gonna be vivid, guys. So don't hesitate to fight, you know, and have diverging opinions, because in those panels, most of the time, people agree, disagree sometimes, but politely, of course. So my first question is just, what do you think about DeFi? Is it just another hype, like ICOs, IOs, and the other acronyms? There are so many of them now. NFTs is also one of them, acronyms. Is it just a hype, or do you think it's something that will be for the long run? And let's start with a lady first. Anna, you want to start?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah?
So basically, I think it both. It's as well a hype, and as well it has a future. It will stay here. And basically, DeFi was always there, and the idea of Bitcoin is purely decentralization of finances and of all other coins. The idea is decentralization. But just from the last year, with the launch of Compound's governance token, all other projects as well picked up this idea and started launching their own governance tokens. And we saw the appearance of so many these lending and borrowing protocols, and everybody apes in with running for the biggest returns. And of course, it's the same like with any projects. Some projects will stay on the market, and some not. It's like the strongest and the most serious businesses will survive, and some like newcomers which don't get the market, who don't get the customers, they will just go away. But generally, I see big potential in DeFi, and especially now DeFi gives much bigger returns than traditional banks. And as for now, the people who use DeFi are mostly like, people who are really in crypto. So these are not like people from, these are not average users. But in the future, it has potential to attract a bigger audience. And as well, it's a great solution for unbanked people who, with crypto, they can have some savings, and as well they can earn on their savings this way.
Thank you, Anna. You are very complete. And just try to make it not more than 2 minutes, if you don't mind, so you allow time for the others. So thank you.
Thank you.
And yeah, okay.
Can I take it from here really quickly? So I spent more than 15 years in traditional finance, and I think what's happening in the digital space is very similar through what many countries went through. Just to name a few of them that went through the build-ups of the financial system first, then real activity was taking place. You can say Mexico, Argentina, Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Egypt, Ukraine, Russia, African countries, even China, right? So what typically we see is happening is you build up the financial infrastructure first. That's what's happening in the DeFi space right now. Investors step in. So far, people put $60 billion into the DeFi liquidity providing pools. And typically you start with exchanges and lending. This is the basic things you can build up such that everyone else can step in later. Without this foundation, you can't really do much, right? You cannot do NFTs, you cannot do any other real estate, you cannot do music, books, nothing like this, unless you can easily transact, lend, exchange, and put money in and out. That's exactly the first stage that we've seen in traditional finance. Now it's happening in the digital space, in the DeFi space, right? Clearly, the phase we're going through right now is that the attraction of yields, the attraction of funds is coming because of high yields, right? Many platforms are offering you double-digit return. Would you ever imagine 10% return in stable coins in the world? This is not normal, right? But you have to do this, and they share the fees, they share equity. That's why people like us, we step in these projects, provide money, and we understand that this is the next layer to build new projects on this infrastructure. Let me stop here.
Okay, and I will be very shortly. I think a lot of people talk about its hype, DeFi is hype or no, it's for a long time or finish it in the future time. But in my opinion, I think it's for a long time because we see that really large ecosystem format around decentralization finance and solve a lot of problems in crypto market. And I think it's very important. Of course, remove intermediaries and makes crypto world better.
Thank you, Sergey. Quick question for you, Bertus. Can you just bounce back on what has been said concerning the adoption, the institutional adoption of DeFi? And do you think, for example, that farming could be appealing enough for institutional investors, because you are an investor yourself, to join the DeFi space?
Well, I think if you zoom out, then every new technology that came to birth into life over the last decades, at some point was a hype before it became mainstream, right? This was the same with the internet. I remember in the early 2000s, I mean, even, there was so many kind of so-called bullshit projects on regulated stock exchanges. Nobody believed in it, but from this traditional space, right? But it created this hype, and it helped to bootstrap the industry. And I think the beauty about DeFi, we saw the same then with ICOs as well, by the way. What I like about DeFi is actually that you can really bootstrap the ecosystem from scratch, and that's unique because of this distributed approach. So I think we need to distinguish between, is DeFi a hype, or are there projects which are legitimate? I think there is obviously a lot of scams going on, to be frank, in this space. And from an investor's point of view, coming from a more traditional side, I would be very careful in looking and doing proper due diligence to where to put it. So yield farming, I mean, if you analyze, I think it was a great presentation before from Alec about how DeFi came to birth. And I think you need to be very good in understanding where does the yield really come from, right? A lot of this is basically paid user acquisitions and nothing else than the inflation, which is created within this ecosystem, same as the Fed creates and prints US dollars, right? So I think a lot of these projects are also from the token economics not very legitimate. There is the governance mechanisms are very improper, but there are some. And I think if you are good in identifying them, this could potentially be interesting for institutions as well, but probably not at this point, more in the midterm.
Do you see, for instance, Swiss banks, because you're from Switzerland in the first place, offering DeFi products? One of them is doing it now, and will not mention or drop a name, but you think banks will come more and more into the DeFi space for their own clients? Someone maybe can react to this, maybe to someone else.
You mean banks?
Yeah, the banks. Do you think banks will start offering, one bank in Switzerland is offering now a DeFi product? You think it's going to be a massive trend?
Yeah, I think banks, obviously, they are the gatekeepers to the traditional world, and they apply all these technologies like QACML that DeFi doesn't apply. But I think what is super interesting, if we see some projects that combine the access of DeFi through traditional banking routes, that might help to propel this ecosystem even faster and create some, some adoption to the space from new financial sources.
Firdaus, I have not forgotten you.
Sorry.
And I have not forgotten you. And that's to make the link with the next question. My next question is about the DeFi projects that you would actually quote as your favorite DeFi projects. I have no doubt that would be a Drive, right?
Yes,
am I right?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
So my question is that how do you see DeFi? Do you see DeFi as an opportunity for a project like Drive? And if the answer is yes, why?
Yeah. So I've been part of this ecosystem for a long time, and I've seen all the hypes coming in and going in. 6 months back, I was here and we were all speaking about DeFi, and now we are all speaking about NFT. And there's no doubt that they already existed before the hype was created around it. DeFi was before 2021. NFT was before April 2021. It's just we start speaking about it at a later point of time when somebody buy an NFT at like $60 million price or something like that. But for me, it is more important that all of this hype around, the concept of DeFi or NFT can actually be brought in front of people. The mass adoption for me is very important. Drive is all about mass adoption, and I really want to take that benefit of what this whole ecosystem provides in itself. Like DeFi provides an opportunity for anybody to earn from their holdings, and for me, my drivers are a very important part of my ecosystem. And if I can use that opportunity where their earning can be converted into cryptos, and they can actually earn from that, put it in yield farming and start earning from that, that will be a better opportunity for them instead of just putting it in banks and getting like very basic interest on that. So I guess it opens up new opportunities for people to make money out of it. And that's important, instead of we playing around with the people who belongs to crypto ecosystem, we should start looking beyond that, which is very important. And that is something which will not kill the hype around it. The only reason we see the hype getting killed over time is because we are building everything for this small ecosystem that we belongs to.
Thank you. Thank you. And bouncing back on your favorite projects, and the purpose being just very concrete about just the DeFi project you like and why you like it. Who wants to start? Sergey?
I think my favorite project in DeFi is Compound. I think it's a really good, great system without any intermediaries. For example, you put your Bitcoins on some protocol and take another currency or stable coins in several times. And you can do it automatically without any intermediaries, without any papers, without any documents, and not human control you. All of process controlled by smart contract. I think it's financial revolution.
Thank you, Sergey. Anna?
My favorite project is Aava, and I think it's like market proofed. It's number one for now. Around $17 billion is locked now in Aava, and it's open source liquidity protocol for lending and borrowing. And basically, they have now options for a lot of different coins, tokens, and stable coins for lending and borrowing and earning interest from it. And of course, in comparison to some other new protocols, they don't offer like such huge interest rates, but at least people already like it, and there are very low risks that it will be hacked or something will happen with it.
I think project the same, but Aave and Compound, it's like competitors.
Vadim or Hubertus, Vadim maybe?
Let me pass on this for confidentiality reasons because we invest in them.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
Fair enough.
those projects mentioned, they have their battle tested to a certain extent, whatever this means in this very young industry. But stuff like Maker, Aave, Compound definitely are more the senior projects there. I mean, personally, I'm not invested in DeFi for the reasons I've said before. I think it needs a lot of way to go to become institutional grade. There is no doubt that you can make a lot of money with it, but you can do the same. You got to do a lot of money in other things that are, very hype driven. It's all about creating something sustainable. So I'm really looking forward to projects that have proper governance, that have also, that embed, that create a crossroads between traditional finance and DeFi, because that will create the on-ramp. So it's yet to be seen.
Thank you. Can we now move to the next topic, which is NFTs? All right. And so first question, very broad question, is what do you think of the NFTs? Do you think it's also on hype or not on hype? What's your take on this? And yeah, Ferdosh, you want to start?
Yeah, sure. So as I mentioned before also, the hype is always created by the fact that, somebody bought an NFT for $62 million or something like that. I still believe it's a hype at this point of time, unless and until we find real value around NFTs. I still believe the whole wealth will get concentrated with the people who have deep pockets. If someone is buying, a rare art for millions of dollars, and then obviously the power get concentrated to certain number of people, which is what I feel will kill the whole benefit of talking about NFT at this point of time. But yeah, I am looking more towards building, like the whole topic is about building the bridge between NFT and DeFi. We want to look at things where we can actually bring fractional ownership, and more people can have ownership to actually get access to the NFT, and then we will see the power not getting concentrated with the people with deep pockets. So that's very important for me.
Yeah, Vadim?
I think the question of ownership is absolutely critical, right? I think that's exactly what you mentioned. I think for us, the phase, as I said, we're going through, so far you have DeFi and financial transactions taking place on this layer. The next phase is clearly we need the ownership of rights on anything you can say, like it's either art or it's music or it's real estate, anything, right? And this is where NFTs are coming in, right? So from the institutional investor perspective, I think the solutions that took place on the custody side are helping a lot. So custodians like Copper or Fireblocks really changed solutions for banks to step in. There is a financial infrastructure already in the DeFi space to invest through, like serious amount of money. The next phase that we need is effectively ownership rights that are coming through NFTs, right? So this is definitely the next layer, which is absolutely critical to move from the real phase to the digital. And effectively, it's going to be a replication of what you have in real life in the digital space, which is much easier, faster, no intermediaries, fully decentralized. So.
Yeah. Yeah, and maybe Sergey, concerning NFTs and DeFi, what do you think about lending and maybe also farming of NFTs in the DeFi space? What do you think?
Maybe I answer the question about hype around NFT, because I think, yes, we have a hype around NFT. It's not a good that regular picture which was created by no one without any subscribers, and this picture, regular picture, sold with a price more than $10,000. It's unbelievable. Of course, I was in this market. I bought some NFT and then sell with a higher price. But if we discuss about future in NFT, of course, in 5 or 2 years, we will still have a hype. But right now, market is not good. It's my opinion. We don't see a second market.
Yeah. Anna?
I as well consider that NFT market is overhyped, and actually NFT market much follows the movement of crypto market. So like we had such a hype with the growth of all the assets, with Bitcoin at $64,000, Ethereum at over $4,000 and so on. So as well, everybody was like aping in as well into NFTs and so on. But generally, I think that for average people, NFTs are not much understandable, and especially nobody wants to pay all those high fees for buying or trading NFTs. That's another problem. It may have some future for like current Generation Z. For millennials and like for older generation, such things as NFTs and just like, for example, with a picture, you can just download this picture and you have it, like who cares whether you have ownership rights for it or not. But from the other side, it can be like as well, if we there are different use cases as for NFTs, like for art, music, for land, gaming items, metaverse, and so on. So I think for gaming, this thing is cool, that you can trade different gaming items between different games and so on. As well, another cool thing about it is that there are programmable payout of royalties to the creators of the NFT. So now the artists, composers or other creators, they don't need to pay anything to any middleman every time their creation is traded. So that thing is great. Or as well, if we talk about art industry, it's in the real world, it's as well not the big one. So it won't be big in NFT too.
Thank you, Anna. And Hubertus, do you see NFTs, or at least some of them, as a reliable or credible asset for the future? Is this something you would consider as an investor? I don't know, coming up with a portfolio of NFTs and maybe with more complex investment strategies afterwards? We mentioned farming and other stuff. Is this something you consider?
Well, I think first and foremost, to understand why NFTs are potentially interesting, you need to be a collector. You need to be somebody who understands how a collector thinks. Because for anybody who doesn't collect anything, an NFT, you're right. I mean, what's the point? But I think the moment, if you look at NBA Top Shots, for instance, these collectible card games or cards, this has been around for decades, off-chain and off-technology. When you remember just these Panini pictures in football and this kind of thing, there was a huge community around that. So I think from a more high-level view, the interesting part about NFTs is it can unlock a new community and bring them to crypto, which is not already in crypto, because these are fans of their respective sports. And that's substantially something I think which is important for the crypto space to grow. So currently DeFi is very much crypto-centric. So everybody who holds a couple of ETH is probably on DeFi. NFTs can bring new ecosystems of different sports, music, whatever, arts categories to the blockchain space. And then we come to the point, NFTs and DeFi, where's the crossroads? And I think if you think about how to fractionalize potentially NFTs or non-fungible tokens of some tangible art or some tangible underlying, and this maybe to make a parenthesis, it's also a question about the underlying. Obviously, if you digitize some random street art thing, it's very hard probably to collateralize that at some point. But if the underlying is high valued and has some tangibility and most of all has some liquidity, then I think this can become very exciting. But obviously, this leads to the whole conversation about that we had before, to on-ramp traditional money to this space. You need to have more regulation around it. Regulation is obviously what DeFi doesn't want. So I think this is going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Or maybe it takes just a generational shift also for the regulators to become more comfortable with it in order to unlock that capital.
Yeah. Yeah, we all agree that making predictions is a very difficult exercise. And so I think that if we go back in time and listen to ourselves in panel 2 years ago, we would be ashamed of ourselves with the predictions we made then back in time. So let's be humble with that. But if, let's try a prediction, I would say that music is probably a key topic for DeFi and NFT. Of course, others like football, so we all know there's some successes in video games. With Sami this morning was very informative. With music, it's very early stage. And there are a few projects out there that are very interesting where indeed, as you said, fractionalizing music right through NFTs, for instance, including one for the streaming industry like Spotify could actually pay to NFTs and in stable coins, and after NFTs could be fractionized or tokenized and feed the secondary market in a DeFi space. That's a very interesting evolution of DeFi and NFTs. But as always, we don't know. We don't have crystal balls. Market will decide, not us. So is there a final word you would like to say? Because I think that we are now reaching the end of this panel. I don't know if someone from the organization could just let us know if that's the end or not. But a few minutes left, right? To a last word. Yeah, starting with you.
Yeah. So as I said before, blockchain implementation in anything is just a step ahead to how we have evolved. Even with NFT, it is the same. We were selling assets. The art was being sold in person, and now we are digitalizing it. It's just a step ahead to how we see things changing, and we'll see more to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Hanim, yeah, in that order.
Just real quick on my side, I think we're at very, very early stages in NFTs with any other technology in the world that we had in the past decade. So there is too much hype. Most of the stuff that exists now probably won't exist 5-10 years down the road, right? It's going to be something completely new and different. But I think the fact that we can digitize, put smart contracts across the ownership rights of certain things, including music, digital assets, this is the right way to do it. So this is exactly the reason people are putting so much talent and technical energy and IT energy into it, right? And money, because that's the way to basically globalize and decentralize the space.
I agree with Vadim. I think not NFT, I think all market in the early stage. And we will see a future, maybe in 5 and 10 years.
I agree with everything said before, and as well, I see bigger potential for DeFi generally rather than for NFTs, and I think as well there is big potential for institutionals getting into it, and they're already doing this. And as I mentioned, like one of my favorite DeFi projects is Aave. They work with institutionals a lot and onboarding them, and as well a lot of institutionals now getting into DeFi indexes, like for example DeFi index launched by CoinShares.
Thank you. Bertus?
Yeah, I mean, just in brief, I think do your homework before you invest in these things. And I think one shouldn't get neither trapped or scared by the hype around it, because the underlying technology of DeFi and also NFT is here to stay, in my view. It's going to take only a couple of years until it gets mainstream adoption, but that's a good thing.
Thank you. Time is there, I didn't see it. So time's up. So thank you so much, everyone. And have a very good afternoon. Thank you to everyone.
Thank you.